Indie sleaze has been one of the biggest waves in fashion. If you look at the 2020s, we had the huge macro trend of Y2K, and then basically indie sleaze is kind of sticking. It started a couple of years ago, and now it's becoming quite more popularized or repopularized, I would say, where the tip of the iceberg is the Hedi Slimane boy and the Ann Demeulemeester girl, in my opinion. Indie sleaze was a style that started from music actually in late 20s and early to 2010s. And I feel like now you see this wave of indie sleaze in fashion, but you're also seeing it in music a lot. We have bands like Snow Strippers who kind of like brought back that electro vibe of Justice, or let's say even better, Crystal Castles, as well as The Help. Then you have True Hollies, which is a mix between the Hedi Slimane boy aesthetic as well as a little bit vampiresque. I feel like this whole dark indie sleaze wave of 2025 is a little bit vampiresque with the aesthetic of Nosferatu and all of these darker elements. If you think of the classic look of the modern vampire in movies like, I don't know, like the Vampire Diaries, it's always a little bit like indie sleaze and always a little bit, I would say, Hedi Slimane, seriously. We're having a gloomy, rainy day in Paris, and I feel like it's gonna fit amazingly with the visual imagery that I'm gonna add to this video. Also, grab your drink of choice. I'm having some black coffee here with me to keep me company in the meantime that I'm recording this episode, and I'm talking about two of my favorite topics in the world, fashion and second in line, music. If you love the fashion archives, and even if you don't love the fashion archives, don't forget to rate this podcast on Spotify. This is the biggest metric that the pod needs to reach a new audience. And thank you so much for those who have done it already. What do you want me to say? The Hedi Slimane boy and the Ann Demeulemeester girl, they're two very, very hot characters and fashion personas as well as music personas. In my mind, they fit perfectly to the aesthetic slash visual appeal of Alexa Chang and Alex Turner. By the way, I'm gonna put on screen the letter that Alex Turner wrote to Alexa Chang so many years ago, and I remember reading this. It was like somewhere on Tumblr, if I'm not mistaken. I remember reading this and thinking this is the most romantic thing ever. If you never read this love letter, pause the pod and read it. It's gonna take you like 2 seconds, and maybe it's gonna inspire you for the love letter that you're about to write. I wanna start by talking about the Ann Demeulemeester girl, this style that is getting more and more popularized in 2025, and why it resonates so much this specific year. Anne is a Belgian designer that started her career with Antwerp 6, which was a collective of creatives and designers. Then she just continued by herself. Her fashion is so much inspired by music, specifically, I would say, post-punk. Her muse has always been Patti Smith, by the way. Designers that have inspired Ann Demeulemeester are designers like Yohji Yamamoto, Rei Kawakubo. You can see this in like the drapings, the asymmetrical cuts, and I would say that Anne kind of like democratized avant-garde, if that makes sense. She made it more digestible by making it more wearable and just like for everyday use. Anne's philosophy is very much based on elegance with a little bit of rebellion. It's always a dualism between beauty and darkness, between raw and soft. I think Anne Demeulemeester's purists, like Margiela purists, often wonder if these brands, they make sense in today's times, if the house without the founder is actually like bringing something new to the table. Is this necessary? Is this different than what Ann Demeulemeester was at the time? I feel like these are the same people that if the Margiela house, or like also let's talk about Ann Demeulemeester, if Stefano Gallici would do something completely different from what Anne's core is, they will also just not accept that. So anyways, I think it isn't really about innovation, it's more about preservation. What Stefano Gallici does, he designs for a generation that maybe it's experiencing Anne for the first time, because maybe it's a younger crowd, maybe it's someone who was not really familiar with Ann Demeulemeester, and because he's kind of like repopularizing the type of style. I feel like Stefano Gallici's Ann Demeulemeester makes sense because we kind of live in a post nostalgia cycle. Fashion in 2025 is hyper referential. People are building entire aesthetics around these eras in this Sleaze. Stefano Gallici's Ann Demeulemeester is kind of like picking up in 2025 because it's a perfect example of cultural timing, if that makes sense. And repetition really feels like an anchor in a world where everything is kind of like chasing virality. Ann Demeulemeester is a quiet rebel. Gallici's Ann Demeulemeester is attracting this new wave of fashion romantics, of quiet rebels who crave atmosphere. And if you think like in a culture with constant change, repetition kind of like becomes the rebellion. It kind of becomes like a rebellious act. Gallici's collection, specifically Spring Summer 2025 and on to Winter 2025, are very much like in this list, as well as kind of like rock and roll goes quiet luxury, if that makes sense. The best part of it all, though, is the styling, and the stylist is Elodie. I really like her work in general, and I think with Ann Demeulemeester she's doing really a great job because she's kind of creating a formula, like an outfit formula that people can easily recreate at home, even if they don't wear Ann Demeulemeester. And these are things that kind of like leave an impact in fashion, in what people wear. And this is why Hedi Slimane's style works. He has this outfit formula, in my opinion, which is leather jacket, skinny jeans, and like boots, whatever the type of boot it is. And it's just like the Hedi Slimane style. It's a very simple thing. Maybe it was like even there before, but he's the one that popularized it. And I think designers need to have a popular silhouette, a popular way of wearing things that people can actually recreate even though they don't wear the designer. Maybe this also dilutes a little bit the brand, but at the same time it kind of like popularize a way of styling things, a way of wearing clothes. Hedi Slimane started at Yves Saint Laurent, then he went at Dior, and then he went at Yves Saint Laurent again, then he ended up at Celine. Because he recently left Celine, people were thinking that he might go at Gucci, but now we know that Demna is going at Gucci, so the question is, what is Hedi Slimane doing? Where is he going? Is he kind of like retiring or taking a break? Or is he gonna go to another fashion house? Is he gonna go back at Dior, for example? Or maybe he will see the wave of the Hedi Slimane boy resurrection, the Hedi Slimane trend coming back, and maybe he will start his own brand. Why not? Like Ann Demeulemeester, Hedi is also very much connected to music. His style is very much rooted into music, and he did dress so many musicians and so many bands like Pete Doherty and the Baby Shambles, or maybe even better, the Libertines, then Crystal Castles, as well as Justice, and let's not forget the Strokes, one of my favorite bands. He became popular during his Dior years. And like he kind of like had this reputation of being a tastemaker when it comes to youth culture. Besides music, he also has in common with Ann Demeulemeester the androgynous aesthetic, the androgynous silhouette, style. Elements of masculinity and femininity get very much blended for both designers. Both designers in their own way were always in this list before we even had the language for it. They're not designing for the moment, they're like designing for the people who don't really fit into it. And this is what makes their work so addictive in 2025, where people are overstressed and trends are just oversaturated. The Ann Demeulemeester style formula, in my opinion, has to have these elements. There's always something around the bra. Either the bra is extremely visible or there's just no bra. You always have something like a tailored coat, or maybe like even a tailored waistcoat over nothing, just like to wear it as a top. lace-up boots, maxi skirts, and maybe a shirt, like a sheer poet blouse. When it comes to the Hedi Slimane boy, I feel like the aesthetic and the style is a little bit more minimalist. It's a little less romantic as well. The Hedi Slimane boy, like I said before, this formula that Hedi Slimane has perfected and popularized of skinny jeans, leather jacket, and boots. It does have some tiny little elements that you could add to that in 2025. And I feel like a band tee, either it's like a band, an indie band from the 2000s, it will look so cool. I have a t-shirt from Baby Shambles, actually, from some years ago. I would like to see if I still have it at home. Maybe I can ask my mom. And I would really love to rewear that. It's so smashed, destroyed, but it would definitely fit the vibe. I feel like, yes, skinny jeans, but also like cigarette shaped trousers could be a fit. For shoes, boots, definitely, but maybe even some beat up Converse, a little bit like Ramon's style. Unwashed hair, dark circles, looking like you're intoxicated or sick to death or something like that. Was it Lana Del Rey that she was singing something like so sick to death, you look sick to death, whatever, I don't remember anymore. But I love the most is that these two outfit formulas apply so much to both genders, and you can even mix and match them, and this is beautiful. You would create like the perfect capsule wardrobe if that's still a thing. Fashion is becoming again about feeling again, about the need to express something that you have in within you, either a sense of nostalgia, a sense of romance, or a sense of rage as well. And I love the fact that it's becoming so much more about externalizing a state of mind or externalizing some emotional status that you're going through, because that's exactly what got me close to fashion. I just found it as probably at the time it was the only way that I could find to express myself and to express what I was feeling inside. So yeah, it's very beautiful to see this happening again, to be living the indie sleaze way for the second time in my life, because I kind of lived through in my preteen era. I kind of like lived through that, and it was maybe mixed with the emo phase, but it was there one way or another. And actually thought at the beginning, I did feel that indie sleaze was becoming a thing, but I thought maybe it's more on the internet rather than actually in real life. Living between Paris and Berlin gives me the chance to see in these big cities how the trends pick up. And I would say mostly Paris. It's definitely something that I'm seeing. The Hedi Slimane boy, it's definitely such a thing here. When I posted this reel about the Hedi Slimane boy resurrection, a lot of people in my comment section said that this is just on my side of the internet and this is not really something that's gonna be back. And I don't think so. I really don't think so, because I see it on the streets, and actually I saw it more on the streets, and then I realized by Googling it, then just my TikTok algorithm completely aligned with the Hedi Slimane boy aesthetic. In this Sleaze in 2025 is kind of like the backlash to curated style or curated taste, to rich girl minimalism, to quiet luxury coded as class signaling. It's hot people looking bad on purpose, basically. This is how I like to call it. When fashion doesn't care if it's correct, if it's fair, but like you just want to feel something. I'm very much curious to know what you guys think about it. Let me know what you think about the Ann girl style and the Hedi Slimane boy and of their resurrection, let's put it this way. I'm kind of hungry for new topics, so feel free to let me know if you want me to talk about something specific. At the moment, I'm focusing on some special episodes of the archives that you guys, I think, will enjoy, but I won't say anything anymore. And nothing more until these episodes get released, actually filmed, so then I will kind of be convinced that this is actually happening. And yeah, so if you have some topic suggestions, feel free to always reach out and let me know.